Hello, hello, hello. The spring is here and it is wonderful. It's getting warmer and it has snowed red rhododendron flowers. Isn't this amazing? Look at that. Look at this amazing, amazing, amazing bed of rhododendron flowers all the way in a big radius, all the way up to here and all the way almost up to the fence, and on the stairs around this beautiful, beautiful rhododendron tree. It's very, very nice, very lovely. This is real, true abundance. I love it. I wanted to capture this with the camera while we're here at the other house. So at the other house, the rhododendron are not ready. This one, the red one here, is always the first one. And then later, it will be the purple one. This one here, much later. And the other ones at the other house are much later. They come out in the summertime. So I want to stand here in front of the tree, leaning into the tree, talk a little bit about conditioning before we leave. Just want to make a quick video, talk about conditioning and the consequences of conditioning that's happening in the world. Almost every human has been conditioned in a very negative way. Almost everyone has been conditioned. Some have been conditioned in a little better way, but most people have been conditioned in a very detrimental way, detrimental for themselves and life in general. From religion is the worst type of conditioning, but then there's also conditioning types like the one that my brother and I experienced when we grew up. Conditioning was never defend yourself, but it wasn't even something that that was actually an outspoken law or something that would be written down or hung on the wall. No, it was more something like in between the lines, like sort of like if you're outspoken, you'll be regarded as a fanatic. If you say anything in any way fully, like if you are fully standing for something, you'll be regarded as an extreme. You'll be regarded as some kind of hippie or some kind of fanatic, some kind of, an activist. They regard it as a fanatic. We watched this film, Alone Against the Mafia. That was a TV series. Was this woman, that redhead, half Italian lady. I think it was a German TV series. Half Italian, half German, redhead lady. Real beautiful woman. Very serious. Serious actor, but also, the character that she played was very serious because she was the one alone against the mafia. And my mother would look at her and say, she looks like a fanatic. And this is just a character, right? So it's very emotionally charged, all of this, what my mother perceives, is all of this. The way she perceives it is emotional and judgmental and full of fear. Don't be radical, you know, that pushed me even further into being someone who is really radical. My brother calls me arch radical. Well, I see that as a compliment. Of course, I am arch radical. Yeah. You know, it brings me to the conversation. I've talked about this before, but I can't mention this often enough. Jyoti Krishnamurti, there's one conversation in Rockwood Park, England, 1976 or something. Jyoti Krishnamurti with David Bohm and Dr. Narayan. Dr. David Bohm and Dr. Narayan. Dr. Narayan was a Sanskrit scholar and a Buddhist monk. Dr. Narayan, big fan of Jyoti Krishnamurti. He thought Jyoti Krishnamurti is Gautama Buddha. It's all good, I agree. Everything fine. The problem begins when Dr. Narayan pulls up his entire download. Buddhism as being downloaded. Buddhism as being dogmatized. And that's where the problem begins, and that's where all problems begin. The religion could begin with, I am watering my tree. And out of that religion can escalate something very not good. Okay. And that's what's happening in the world. Papa Dog, alright. That's what's happening around the world. I feel very unstable today. I didn't get enough sleep last night. I have OCD thoughts. I am tormented with internal fear. And that shines through, but I just wanted to mention that I am very well aware about all of this. It's not easy. It's not easy for me at all to go through this. It's not easy. I don't know how difficult it might get, or maybe it's gonna get easier. I don't know. All I know that I cried for a long time today, and it's extremely difficult. It's like grief, and it's like sort of like you break up with your roots or something. For me, I never felt that rooted. I never felt like this is my identity. I can see how it is hard for other people who identify with their religions and then break off from it. It feels like the death of the ego, and that's what it is also. And vice versa, if people go through meditation, experience death of the ego, there's no way they can ever go back to their former neurotic lifestyle once they have seen freedom on the other end of the tunnel. There's no way they can go back to the suppression and the mental shackle and the prisoner, their own prisoners of pain. They can't go back to it, to this identification with Catholic religion, Christian religion, Muslim religion, Buddhist religion, whatever the religion is, or whatever they have been drilled with, in whatever way, in whichever modality. It could have been a subconscious drilling, which happened to us, my brother and me, a subconscious message that has been drilling down on us. Subconscious message was drilled on us, into us, also through a subconscious mind or several subconscious minds, through several subconscious intentions, not even intentionally. So I'm not even gonna, I can't even say they did this deliberately. They certainly didn't want to make our lives harder, but it happens out of this, okay? And I go back and forth between hate and love, hate and love, hate and love. The hate is when I'm in the feeling. The love is when I see it from above. So I go back and forth. So hopefully I will come out to the love side of it later on in my life, where I don't go back to the hate. So I hope for that. But right now I'm going through the hurt. I'm going through the reflection on what happened. And when we do this, we cannot avoid the hate, you know. And also, that's another thing that I was drilled with, that I'm not allowed to hate anyone. And all of this stuff comes ultimately from the Lutheran thought school, as I call it, because they thought they were out of the religion, but they are not. I mean, the thought school is still lingering in there, of course. You know, all of those downloads are still there. They haven't erased that, of course. They just added something to it. Okay, that mixed it up a bit, that changed it a little bit, that brought the emphasis from the pride in the religion to the pride in the prestige. That's all it is. It's like switched from religion to prestige. It's an easy switch to make because religion is also prestige. It's also a mindset of prestige. Also, not just the Christian religion, the Buddhist monk feels very prestigious. You know, he feels like he's above everyone. You know, he looks down on the other people. You know, always has this benevolent smile. Yeah, he's so much better than anyone else. Oh, yeah, these little dabblers down there, you know, they don't know what they're doing. I mean, it's the same type of thing. It's the same character. It's the same arrogance. It's the same stuff. Same act out. It's just a little bit, has a little bit different color or different shade. That's all it is. It's the same thing. It's made out of the same molecule, basically. It's the same, has the exact same characteristics, same energy. It's the same energy, actually. That arrogant people have, that think of themselves as upper class or something, compared to the Buddhist monk who, you know, supposedly, you know, gives all of this up, but then in the end feels like he is on top of everyone else and better, and he's made it or something. With that religious download, you've never made it when you have a religious download in you. You never made it. I give you this right now, this truth. You haven't. And earlier in the kitchen, I had a lot of insights. After I cried, I was just flooded with insights. If I could just write this down as quick as they come, or say this into, I need to have this camera ready at any time. I need to, on our next trip, I'm gonna take with me my imitation GoPro camera that costs $30. I'm gonna take that with me. It works pretty well, actually. So the problem was that it needed an update on Microsoft. It had updated out all of the software for video, even video uploading and editing and all of this, and they sold it as upgrade. Almost an upgrade. They just upgraded, in quotation marks, all of the editing stuff out, all the video maker, everything out. That's why I'm never gonna buy a Microsoft computer anymore. They have completely lost a customer in me with that behavior, and they won't make it up for it with anything. Bill Gates could buy me a house. They're still not gonna make it up for it, because they have frauded the whole world with this. And most people don't stand up, and the few that stand up, they don't have very good lawyers, or they don't know how to represent themselves. Bill Gates has the best lawyers in the world, and for the money, they'll work for him. Whoever pays the best, I'll work for. It's like someone who studied law, justice, like justice, it's symbolized with this equilibrium scale, you know. It's not equilibrium and it's not justice, okay? It's commerce, it is business, and it is profit maximization. It's not justice. So, in Germany it's called Rechtswissenschaften. My mother is a lawyer. Rechtswissenschaft. Wissenschaft means science, and Recht means the right path or the right way, meaning justice. Okay, so yeah, it's a little bit, maybe a little bit more. We take justice a little bit more serious in Europe than they do here, but here it really is like whoever elbows the most is getting ahead. It doesn't matter how hard they studied or whether they could have studied at Yale or what are they called? Harvard or Stanford. It doesn't matter where they studied. It doesn't matter what background they come from. If they work for profit maximization against justice, against that what they supposedly have studied, then there's no justice, okay? And that's exactly representative for the whole world of humans. Whole world of humans is like this, thinks like this, except for 1%, maybe less, 0.5% or something, of people that are really for justice, that really see everyone's situation and point of view, consider everyone's needs and so on. Very few people. And those few that care about justice, those are the animal rights activists. Because animal rights activism is a sign of deep compassion and an inner feeling of justice and love. That's what it means. But of course, the 99% of other people, of course, they all declare us animal rights activists as the outcasts, as the radical. You must be. Yeah, so that brings me to this conversation with Jiddu Krishnamurti and that Buddhist monk. And Jiddu Krishnamurti was quite upset, I could tell, in this conversation because of the way the Buddhist monk was talking and completely bypassing truth and what actually matters, because he just showed how downloaded he is and that this is basically just a program that he's running off there, with. he's just playing the program. And so he just happened to put Jiddu Krishnamurti as Gautama Buddha into that program, but hasn't understood him at all. He just made him into some kind of avatar in his program. That is a total misunderstanding. So Jiddu Krishnamurti was talking about love. He said the dog on the streets of India, kicked and shoved around, starving, which is a reality in India. Most people don't give a hoot about anyone else other than themselves. And everyone tries to get through the door at the same time, trampling on each other, basically. That is the poor man's greed in all of this. There's no compassion at all. There's no self-dissolution at all. There's the opposite. that region on this planet preaches self-dissolution the most. And here they are doing it the least. It's also interesting. I find that very interesting. So the Buddhist monk downloaded with all of these ideas. They're simply ideas of self-dissolution. Then finally says to Gautama Buddha, has the nerve, and this, I mean, it just reflects the utter, sheer ignorance about himself on his total program running. I mean, I don't dislike this man. I mean, I feel compassion for him. You know, he's trying, but he's misunderstanding him all the way through. And that was very hard for Judy Krishnamurti, that everyone was running off with bits and pieces of what he says and totally misunderstanding everything and just incorporating it or adding it to their already existing programs. So the Buddhist monk had the nerve to say, with a smile and all happy and blissed out, as they almost all are, you know, or think they are, and also superior, thinking they're superior. So he says, I don't like to go to extremes. That's just how I see it. So Jiddu Krishnamurti said straight out to him, what? Shaking his head, love is not extreme. Love is not extreme. There's nothing extreme in love. And then the Buddhist monk didn't know what to say. You know, Dr. Narayan didn't know what to say to this. Actually, his jaw opened up like this. And then, yeah, he did that also when Jiddu talked about the dog in India on the street. The Buddhist monk probably never thought about the dogs on the streets, starving. You know, probably walks past them as if he hasn't even seen them. So I think this should, I don't know what would open people's eyes. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. I'm making a video. I'm almost done. Just give, yeah, 5 more minutes. Doesn't take a rocket science, and it doesn't take an enlightened person. And I'm certainly far from enlightened. I have never experienced Kundalini, and I don't need to. You know, it's just like, that's another idea. Like, I want to experience this orgasm or this roller coaster ride. No, thank you very much. I'm not interested. I'm interested in healing my mental illness, healing myself from my parents' unconscious behavior. They didn't do it deliberately, but I have to heal myself from this. And that would be great if I can achieve that. And I'm coming from compassion. Okay? I have a big compassion center in my brain. That's how I came into this world with. Okay? This is obviously genetic. This is wonderful. You know, that means I experience love because I feel love. I feel love for living beings. They're all my children. I feel love for them. It's a wonderful thing. It must be empty for people if they don't feel this. So I feel sorry for people who don't feel this. I really do. But that's why I teach. I teach love in simple terms. As simple as I can possibly bring it over to other people. With simple examples. So, and Jiddu Krishnamurti said, love is not extreme. So to say I don't go to extreme is completely irrelevant in this discussion on compassion, kindness, you know, empathy, Maitri, as they call it in Sanskrit. Maitri, compassionate love, feeling for another living being, feeling his beingness and his needs, and wanting him to be happy, wanting the dog on the street in India to be happy, wanting every being, every horse, every cow to be happy and safe. That means veganism. In India there are lots of vegan cultures, but does it come from compassion? No, it doesn't. It comes from religion. Okay? They couldn't give a hoot about anyone else. And that is what is so incredibly sad. Maybe there are some few people in there. I'm not going to deny that. Of course there are some few people, but there are, like I said before many times, they are in the 1% range. Okay? The rest are running a program, a download. They're playing the downloaded religion. If it is veganism and Buddhism and peacefulness, yeah, that's better than a downloaded religion like Islam. Of course that's better. It's more beneficial for the world. What I'm trying to aim at here is that we don't want to come from a mindset of download, because that always inevitably leads to oppression, because the whole thing underneath is still unconscious. It is this unconscious pain and the act outs and the self-deception that needs to be lifted. Okay? Once we lift this, we don't have to be adhering to the religion anymore. We don't have to be a kind person just because it has been downloaded into us from Martin Luther or the Hindu gods or monks or Buddhist monks or whoever that was. Okay, so no, it has to come from within, from us. I, Nicola, the living being, I care. And that's why I do caring things. Not because some Martin Luther bullshit has told me to do this or this or this or that, or the other, whatever, gurus told me something. No, it comes from me, and that's what I want to see happening in the world, if that makes any sense. So in the kitchen I was thinking, why is this such a big issue for people to just be themselves? Why do they have to have this name tag with the cult name on it? Nicola and then cult name. Like me equal cult, or me cult member number 750 or something. We are not numbers. We are not identified by someone else's beliefs. You could agree with someone else or disagree, but it has to come from yourself. I hope that makes a lot of sense. So we gotta get going. You guys take care. Bye bye.